Dr. Hannah Kim pressed her face against the cold metal wall of the research lab. The mining station Kepler 442 shook again. Something was wrong. It's very wrong. She had been working alone for 3 months on this distant station. Her job was simple: study the strange bacteria that lived in the deep rocks of this planet. The bacteria could survive in places where nothing else could live. They fascinated her, but now alarms were screaming throughout the station. All personnel to evacuation pods immediately, the computer voice announced. This is not a drill. Hannah grabbed her research tablet and ran toward the evacuation section. The station shook harder. Through the windows, she could see strange lights. In the darkness of space, ships, but not human ships. The lights moved in patterns she had never seen before. They danced around the station like predators circling prey. Fear crept up her spine. "Hannah, where are you?" Captain Minho's voice crackled through her communicator. "Section 7, heading to the pods," she replied, running faster. "Hurry. We have unknown vessels approaching and not responding to our signals." Hannah reached the evacuation area. Half the pods were already gone. She could see the last few people climbing into the remaining escape vehicles. She ran toward the nearest pod. Then the station exploded. The blast threw her against the wall. Emergency lights flickered on and off. The air tasted of smoke and burning metal. When she got up, the evacuation area was destroyed. Twisted metal blocked her path to the pods. She was trapped through the broken windows. Watched the last evacuation pod disappear into space. Was alone on a dying station with unknown aliens circling outside. The station's lights went out completely. Only the red emergency lighting remained. In that red glow, she saw them. The aliens were tall, taller than any human. Their skin looked like dark leather. Hay had 4 arms and moved with fluid grace. Their eyes glowed yellow in the darkness. They wore armor that seemed to shift and change color. But what frightened her most were their faces. They were smiling. One of them stepped forward. It was larger than the others, with scars across its face and arms. Its armor was different too, covered in strange symbols and what looked like trophies. It spoke in perfect English. "Human, female, you are the one who remains." Hannah pressed herself against the wall. "Who are you? What do you want?" The creature's smile grew wider. "I am called the Apex. We are the Vorthok. And you, small human, are why we have come. I don't understand. Your species is new to us. We have watched your people for some time. You are clever. You adapt. You survive. This makes you perfect for our purpose." The Apex gestured to the other aliens. They began setting up equipment around the damaged station, strange devices that hummed with energy. "What purpose?" Hannah asked. "The hunt?" The word sent ice through her veins. The way the Apex said it, with such reverence and joy, made her understand. These creatures were predators, and she was their prey. "We are an ancient species," the Apex continued, walking closer. "For thousands of years, we have perfected the art of the hunt. We seek worthy prey across the galaxy. Species that can think. Species that can fight. Species that can run." He stopped just a few feet from her. Up close, she could see that his armor was made from the bones and skin of different creatures. Some of the bones looked almost human. "We have hunted many species. The Keth with their clever machines. The Nith with their shared minds. The Kel who could become pure energy. All provided excellent sport." Sport. Hannah's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes, the greatest joy in existence is to hunt intelligent prey. To match your skills against a thinking opponent. To see if you can catch what does not wish to be caught." The other Vorthok had finished setting up their equipment. One of them approached and spoke to the Apex in their own language. The apex nodded. The preparations are complete. You will be taken to our preserve. There, you will be given basic tools and supplies. You will have 7 rotations of our world to avoid capture. And, if I refuse, the apex laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. Refusal is not possible. You are prey now. The hunt has begun. 2 of the smaller Vorthok grabbed her arms. Their grip was like steel. They dragged her toward their ship, which had docked with the station inside the alien vessel. Hannah saw things that made her stomach turn. Trophies lined the walls, skulls from dozens of different species, weapons and tools from civilizations she didn't recognize. And in the center of it all, a display case filled with small objects. The last specimens, the apex said, noticing her stare. When we finish hunting a species, we preserve the final few. They become part of our collection, and I counted the objects in the case, dozens of them. Each one represented an entire species hunted to extinction. You're monsters, she said. We are hunters. There is a difference. We give our prey a chance. We follow rules. We hunt with honor. Honor. You're committing genocide. We are removing weakness from the galaxy. Only the strong should survive. Only the clever should breed. We test species to see if they deserve to exist. The ship began to move. Through the viewing port, Hannah watched the mining station explode completely. Any evidence of what had happened here was gone. During the journey to the Vorthok homeworld, Hannah learned more about her captors. They were an old species, perhaps millions of years old. They had developed hunting into a religion. Their entire culture was built around the pursuit and capture of intelligent prey. They had rules. K was given basic supplies and a head start. The hunting ground was always the same size. No weapons beyond simple tools were allowed. The prey had exactly 7 rotations to avoid capture. Has anyone ever survived the full 7 rotations? She asked. The apex smiled. Prey has ever survived past the 3rd rotation. Most are caught on the first day. What happens to those who are caught? They become trophies. Their skulls join our collection. Their story becomes part of our history. A T. Ship landed on a world covered in dense forests in Rocky Mountains. The sky was purple, and 2 suns hung in the heavens. The air was thick and humid. They led her to the edge of a vast preserve. It stretched to the horizon, a wilderness designed for hunting. The apex handed her a small pack containing basic supplies and a simple knife. The hunt begins at dawn, he said. You have until then to prepare. Use the time wisely. As the Vorthok returned to their ship, Hannah stood alone at the edge of the preserve. She looked at the alien wilderness before her. 7 rotations. No human had ever faced anything like this before. But as she shouldered her pack and walked into the forest, one thought kept her moving forward. Somewhere out there, the other humans from the station were still alive. If she could find a way to survive, maybe she could warn Earth about the Vorthok. Maybe she could find a way to stop them. The hunt had begun. But Hannah Kim was about to show the Vorthok that humans were different from any prey they had ever faced. Behind her, the purple sky began to lighten. Dawn was coming. The real test was about to start. Dawn broke over the hunting preserve with blood-red light. Hannah had spent the night hiding in a cave, studying the strange plants and animals around her. Everything here was designed to challenge prey. Even the water tasted wrong. She opened her pack and counted her supplies. 1 water bottle, some dried food that would last 3 days, a simple knife, a fire starter. That was all. The Vorthok expected her to run blindly through the forest like a frightened animal. Instead, she did what she always did when faced with a problem. She observed. She learned. She adapted. The first thing she noticed was the smell. The air carried scents that reminded her of the bacteria she studied. the same chemicals that helped them survive in impossible places. She took samples of the soil and water using small containers from her research tablet. Her tablet was still working. The Vorthok had not taken it because they saw it as harmless. They were wrong. By midday, she had made her first discovery. The purple moss that grew on the trees contained the same compounds as the extremophile bacteria from her research. This moss could survive anything: acid rain, extreme heat, freezing cold. She began collecting the moss and mixing it with water. If she could extract the right chemicals, she might be able to protect herself from the environment. Vorthok probably expected their prey to die from the poisonous plants and animals before they could even be caught. On the second day, the hunting began. Hannah heard them before she saw them. 3 Vorthok hunters moving through the forest with practiced silence. They followed her trail easily at first, but Hannah had spent 2 days learning how to move without leaving tracks. She watched them from her hiding spot high in a tree. They were confused. Her trail ended at a stream and did not continue on the other side. They spent hours searching for signs of her passage. She had learned something important. The Vorthok were skilled hunters, but they followed patterns. They expected prey to behave in certain ways. When prey did something unexpected, they needed time to adapt. While they searched, she moved in the opposite direction. She was learning to use their own environment against them. On the 3rd day, she made her second discovery. The animals in the preserve were not natural. They had been changed by the Vorthok to make hunting more challenging. But the changes made them predictable too. The 6-legged cats that stalked through the underbrush always attacked from the left. The flying creatures that looked like metal birds only hunted during certain hours. Even the poisonous plants followed patterns in how they released their toxins. Hannah began to see the preserve as what it really was: a giant laboratory designed to test prey. Every danger had been carefully planned. Every challenge had rules. If there were rules, there were ways to break them. She found her first real weapon on the 4th day. A fallen tree had been hollowed out by insects that secreted acid, the same type of acid that her moss extract could neutralize. She carefully collected the acid in containers made from large leaves. That night, she prepared her first trap. The next morning, for Vorthok hunters entered her section of the preserve. They had grown frustrated with her ability to evade them. She could hear them talking as they searched. "The human is clever," one said. "She does not behave like normal prey. She will make an excellent trophy." Another replied, "Apex will be pleased." They followed her trail toward a narrow canyon. She had made the trail obvious this time, leaving broken branches and footprints in the mud. She wanted them to find her. The lead hunter stepped on her trap. The container of acid broke. Under his weight came a Kelly through his armor and into his leg. He screamed and fell. The other hunters rushed to help him. While they were distracted, Hannah dropped from the tree above them. She had coated her knife with more acid. The blade cut through the second hunter's neck. Before he could react, the Vorthok hunter fell dead at her feet. The other 2 hunters stared in shock. In all their years of hunting, no prey had ever killed one of them. It was impossible. Prey ran. Prey hid. Prey died. Prey did not fight back. And when Hannah looked at them with cold eyes. "Kel, the apex that humans are different from your other prey." She vanished into the forest before they could recover from their surprise. That night, the entire preserve was in chaos. Vorthok ships flew overhead, searching with bright lights. Ground teams swept through the forest. The death of a hunter had changed everything. Hannah used the confusion to explore areas of the preserve that were normally heavily guarded. She found something that made her blood run cold: a museum of trophies. Thousands of skulls lined the walls, each one from a different species, each one representing an entire civilization that had been hunted to extinction. Some of the skulls were small, like children. Others were massive, from creatures that must have been giants in the center of the museum stood a communication device, the same type the Vorthok used to contact their ships. It was connected to a vast network that reached across the galaxy. Hannah had found her chance to warn Earth. She worked frantically to access the communication system. Her research tablet could interface with alien technology if she modified the right settings. The connection was weak, but it was enough. She recorded everything: the location of the Vorthok homeworld, their technology, their hunting methods, their weaknesses. Most importantly, she recorded proof of their genocide against dozens of intelligent species. The message was heavily encrypted, and sent to Earth through deep space communication relays. She could only hope it would reach human space before the Vorthok detected the transmission. As she finished sending the message, she heard footsteps behind her. The apex stood in the doorway of the museum. His yellow eyes glowed with a mixture of anger and something else. Respect. You have done something no prey has ever done, he said slowly. You have killed one of my hunters. You have turned our preserve into a battlefield. You have made us take notice. Hannah stood slowly, her hand on her knife. Good, because I have a message for you too. Speak. Humans do not hunt for sport. We hunt to survive. We hunt to protect. And when something threatens our survival, we hunt to extinction. You made a mistake when you chose my species as prey. The apex smiled. You think your people will come for you? I know they will. And when they do, they will not come to rescue me. They will come to end you. For the first time since she had met him, the apex looked uncertain. You are still prey. You are still in my preserve. You will still be caught. Maybe, but I have survived 4 rotations already. No prey has ever done that before, right? The apex did not answer. He turned and walked away, leaving her alone in the Museum of Extinct Species. Hannah looked up at the skulls surrounding her. I will not let humans join your collection, she whispered. I promise. Outside, the hunt continued, but something had changed. The Vorthok were learning that some prey could bite back, and, somewhere in the darkness of space, a message was traveling toward Earth, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. The real war was about to begin. Admiral Dongwu Park stood in the command center of Earth, Defense Station Alpha. The message from deep space had arrived 6 hours ago. Since then, he had not slept. He had not eaten. He had only stared at the data that would change humanity forever. Play it again, he ordered. The holographic display activated. Dr. Hannah Kim's face appeared, dirty and tired, but alive. Her voice was steady, despite the fear in her eyes. This is Dr. Hannah Kim from Mining Station Kepler 42. If you receive this message, Earth is in immediate danger. An alien species called the Vorthok have been hunting intelligent life across the galaxy for sport. They hunt entire species to extinction. The recording showed images of the trophy museum. Thousands of skulls from different worlds, different civilizations, all dead. They are coming for humanity next. I am sending all data about their technology, their location, and their methods. They think humans are easy prey. They are wrong, but we must act fast. They have been doing this for millions of years. The message ended. The command center was silent. Dr. Ji-Ho Lee, Earth's top military strategist, stepped forward. Admiral, the data is confirmed. We've verified the star charts. The Vorthok homeworld is real. So are the other worlds they've marked for hunting, Admiral. Park turned to face the room full of officers. How long do we have, based on their ship movements? Perhaps 6 months before they reach human space in force? Atia, then we have 6 months to prepare for a war unlike anything humanity has ever faced. Within hours, every military base on Earth and in the colonies received the same order. Emergency mobilization. All leave canceled. All resources directed toward a single goal: survival. The United Earth Council met in emergency session. President Ana Rodriguez addressed the world from the council chambers. Citizens of Earth and her colonies. Today, we learned that humanity is not alone in the universe. We also learned that we are being hunted. But we will not go quietly into extinction. We will fight. We will survive. And we will show these aliens that humans are not prey. The war machine of humanity awakened. Dr. Jiho Lee worked day and night with teams of engineers. They studied every piece of data Hannah had sent. Warthog ship designs, their weapons, their armor, tactics. They fight like hunters, he explained to Admiral Park. They use stealth and patience. They prefer to stalk their prey for weeks before attacking. Their ships are built for silence and speed, not heavy combat. What does that tell us? They have never fought a species that fights back as a coordinated military force. They hunt individuals or small groups. They have no experience with fleet, battles, or planetary defense systems. This gave humanity an advantage. Humans had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war. They knew how to fight as armies. They knew how to build weapons designed to kill other thinking beings in large numbers. The first human warships began construction immediately. They were not sleek hunting vessels like the Vordok ships. They were brutal weapons of war. Heavy armor, massive guns, built to take damage and keep fighting. Meanwhile, on the Vorthok homeworld, Kana continued to survive. She had killed 3 more hunters by the 6th rotation. Kana's preserve was in chaos. Kana, half the Vorthok hunting teams had been called back to protect their own territory. No prey had ever turned their preserve into a war zone. She had also learned to use their own technology against them. Vorthok equipment was designed to be used by their 4-armed physiology, but Hannah found ways to adapt it. She stole communication devices, weapons, and even pieces of their armor. The Apex hunted her personally now. The death of his hunters had made it a matter of honor. But even he was starting to understand that this human was different from any prey they had faced. But she does not think like prey, he told his subordinates. She thinks like a hunter. She sets traps. She studies us. She adapts faster than we do. Some of the younger Vorthok began to whisper that perhaps humans were too dangerous to hunt. Perhaps they should find easier prey. But the Apex refused to listen. The hunt had become personal. On the 7th rotation, something unprecedented happened. Hannah completed the challenge. For the first time in Vorthok history, prey had survived the full hunting period. According to their ancient laws, she had earned the right to live. She should be released, but the Apex was not ready to let her go. The law says, prey that survives 7 rotations goes free. One of the younger hunters said. Adala was written. When prey knew its place, the Apex replied, "This human has corrupted our preserve. She has killed our hunters. She is not prey anymore. She is a threat. Then what do we do with her? We keep hunting until she is dead." But this decision split the Vorthok Hunting Council. Half supported the Apex. The other half believed they should honor their ancient laws. For the first time in their civilization, they argued about the rules of the hunt. While they argued, their scouts brought disturbing news from the edge of their territory. "Admiral, we have detected unusual ship movements near the human homeworld," the scout reported. "They are building vessels we have never seen before. Large ones, armed ones." The Apex dismissed the report. "Impossible. Humans are prey. They do not build warships." But the scout insisted. "The ships are real, Apex, and there are many of them. Earth's first battle fleet was ready 3 months ahead of schedule." Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Hanakim. It was fitting that their first warship should be named after the woman who warned them. Captain Srajang commanded the lead cruiser squadron. She had studied every piece of data about Vorthok tactics. She knew their ships preferred to attack from ambush. She was ready for them. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading for the first reported Vorthok position. It was time to show these aliens that humans could hunt too. The Vorthok scouts that detected the human fleet could not believe what they were seeing. Instead of running and hiding like proper prey, the humans were coming toward them with warships. Apex. The humans have launched a fleet toward our territory. They appear to be attacking us. Apex stared at the tactical display. Dozens of human ships moving in precise formation. This was not the behavior of prey. This was the behavior of predators. For the first time in millions of years, the Vorthok felt something they had never experienced before. Fear. Recall all hunting parties, the Apex ordered. Prepare the defense fleets. It appears we have underestimated these humans. In her hiding place on the preserve, Hannah heard the alarms echoing across the Vorthok installations. She smiled grimly. Her message had reached Earth. Humanity was coming. The hunt was about to become a war. And in war, humans had thousands of years of experience that the Vorthok could never match. The species that had been hunted for sport was about to show their hunters what real predators looked like. The galaxy was about to change forever. The first battle between humans and Vorthok lasted only 12 minutes, Captain. Srajang watched the tactical display from the bridge of her cruiser Defiance. 3 Vorthok hunting ships had tried to ambush her squadron near the asteroid belt of Kepler 7. They moved with perfect silence, just as their data predicted. But the humans were ready. Target acquired, her weapons officer reported. Vorthok ship attempting to approach from behind the large asteroid. Fire. The human railgun batteries opened fire. Solid metal slugs traveling at incredible speed smashed into the Vorthok vessel. Their hunting ship was built for stealth and speed. It was not built to take that kind of damage. The alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The other 2 Vorthok ships tried to retreat. They had never faced an enemy that could see them coming. Their stealth technology worked perfectly against prey that ran in fear. It was useless against military sensors designed to find hidden enemies. Both ships were destroyed before they could escape. Admiral Park, this is Captain Zhang, she reported. First contact complete. 3 enemy vessels destroyed with no human casualties. Back on Earth, Admiral Park allowed himself a small smile. The war was off to a good start, but the real surprise came 3 days later. A ship appeared at the edge of human space. It was not Vorthok. It was something else entirely, something that should not have existed. The ship broadcast a message in perfect human language. Human vessels. This is Captain Taman of the Keth Liberation Fleet. We have received your broadcast about the Vorthok hunters. We wish to join your fight. Admiral Park stared at the communication screen. Captain Taman looked almost human, except for the metallic patches on his skin and the extra joints in his arms. I thought the Keth were extinct, Admiral Park said. The Vorthok believe we are extinct. We have been hiding in the deep asteroid fields for 300 years, waiting for someone strong enough to fight them. When we heard that humans killed Vorthok hunters, we knew the time had come. Within a week, more ships arrive. Kali, the Nith, sent a collective consciousness housed in biomechanical vessels. The Kel came as beings of pure energy inhabiting artificial bodies. Even species that humans had never heard of joined the growing alliance. All of them had been hunted by the Vorthok. All of them had survived by hiding. All of them wanted revenge. Dr. Ji-Ho Lee studied the new allies with fascination. Each species developed different ways to survive Vorthok hunting. The Keth became masters of technology and engineering. The Nith learned to share thoughts instantly across vast distances. The Kel learned to exist without physical form. "What does this mean for our war effort?" Admiral Park asked. "It means we have advantages the Vorthok never expected. They think all their prey is dead. Instead, we have created the largest military alliance in galactic history." The Coalition fleet grew rapidly. Kith engineering ships that could repair battle damage in minutes. Kith vessels that could coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. Cal energy beings that could disable Vorthok electronics. Just by touching them and leading them all, human warships built for one purpose: to destroy the hunters who had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years. Meanwhile, on the Vorthok homeworld, Hannah had become a legend. The young Vorthok hunters whispered stories about the human who had survived 8 rotations and killed 7 hunters. Some said she was a demon. Others said she was the perfect evolution of prey. The Apex no longer slept. He spent every hour hunting through the preserve, trying to find and kill the human who had destroyed his reputation. But Hannah had learned to use the preserve itself as a weapon. She had turned the acid-spitting plants into traps. She had trained the 6-legged cats to attack Vorthok's scent trails. She had even learned to communicate with some of the artificial creatures, turning them into allies. The preserve that was designed to hunt prey had become a nightmare for the hunters. She must be stopped, the Apex told the Hunting Council. She is corrupting everything we have built. But the council was divided. Half the members wanted to honor their ancient laws and declare the human free. The other half wanted to break the laws and continue hunting until she was dead. The division was tearing their society apart. Younger Vorthok began to question whether hunting intelligent species was right. If prey could become this dangerous, if prey could fight back this effectively, perhaps the prey was not really prey at all. Maybe we should find a different way to live, one young hunter suggested. The Apex struck him down for the suggestion. "We are hunters. It is what we are. This is what we have always been." But doubt was spreading through Vorthok society like a poison. For the first time in their history, they were questioning their purpose. The war reached their homeworld sooner than anyone expected. Admiral Park led the Coalition fleet in a massive assault on the Vorthok's main military base. The attack was perfectly coordinated. Human ships provided heavy firepower. Keth vessels jammed Vorthok communications. Nith ships anticipated every defensive move. Kel energy beings disabled the space stations that protected the system. The battle was devastating for the Vorthok. They had never fought a coordinated military force. Their hunting tactics were useless against enemies that worked together as a single unit in 6 hours. The Coalition destroyed the largest Vorthok fleet in the galaxy. The message was clear. The hunters had become the hunted. As the Coalition fleet moved toward the Vorthok homeworld, something unexpected happened. The Apex came to find Hannah personally. She was waiting for him in the trophy museum, surrounded by the skulls of extinct species. She had been expecting this moment for weeks. "You have destroyed us," the Apex said quietly. His armor was damaged. His weapons were gone. He looked older than when she had first seen him. "I warned you," Hannah replied. "I told you that humans were different. Your people fight like demons. They show no mercy. They hunt us like animals. You know how it feels." The Apex looked around at the trophy collection, at the thousands of skulls representing entire civilizations. "We gave our prey a chance. We followed rules. We hunted with honor. You hunted for sport. You killed thinking beings for entertainment. Okay? You committed genocide across the galaxy. Did you really think there would be no consequences?" For the first time since she had known him, the Apex seemed to understand. His entire species had built their culture on the death of others. Now that death was coming for them. "What happens now?" he asked. Hannah stood up slowly to the windows of the museum. She could see human ships entering the atmosphere. Coalition fleet had arrived at the Vorthok homeworld. Now you face the same choice you gave to all your prey, she said. Run and hide, or stand and fight. Either way, the hunt is over. The apex looked at her one last time. You were the greatest prey we ever faced. Hannah said firmly, I was never your prey. I was your teacher. I taught you that some species fight back. I taught you that hunting intelligent beings has consequences. And I taught you that humans protect each other. Outside, the final battle for the Vorthok homeworld was about to begin. The species that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years was about to face extinction. But this time, it would be justice, not sport. The final battle for the Vorthok homeworld began at dawn. Admiral Dongwoo Park stood on the bridge of the Hannah Kim as the coalition fleet entered the planet's atmosphere. Below them, the cities of the Vorthok stretched across continents. Millions of hunters who had never known fear were about to learn what terror felt like. All ships, this is Admiral Park. Today, we end millions of years of genocide. Today, we show the galaxy that intelligent species will no longer be hunted for sport. Begin the assault. The sky filled with fire. Human warships led the attack. Their heavy guns turning Vorthok military installations into burning rubble. Keth engineering vessels disabled the planetary defense systems with surgical precision. Nith collective ships coordinated the assault across a dozen fronts simultaneously. Kel energy beings moved through the Vorthok computer networks, turning their own weapons against them. But Admiral Park had given strict orders. Military targets only. No civilians. No hunting trophies. No revenge killings. Humanity would not become what the Vorthok had been. Sir, Vorthok fleet attempting to escape from the northern continent. Captain Sorajang reported. Intercept them. None of the hunting ships leave this world. The battle raged for 3 days. Vorthok fought desperately, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Their hunting tactics were useless against a coordinated military assault. Their stealth technology meant nothing when the enemy could see them coming. Their superior individual skills were overwhelmed by superior numbers and strategy. One by one, the great hunting cities fell in the preserve where it all began. Hannah made her way toward the Central Command facility. The apex had left her after their final conversation, but she knew where he was going. The most sacred place in Vorthok culture, the hall of the first hunt. She found him there, standing before a massive statue of the first Vorthok hunter. Around the hall were displayed the skulls of the very first species they had hunted to extinction, the beginning of millions of years of genocide. It is over, the apex said without turning around. Your people have won. It was over the moment you chose humans as prey, Hannah replied. You just did not know it yet. The sounds of battle echoed from outside. Coalition forces were systematically destroying every hunting installation on the planet. The great preserve that had never known defeat was falling to the prey they had underestimated. We were the apex predators of the galaxy, the apex said quietly. For millions of years, nothing could challenge us. Nothing could stop us. You were never apex predators, Hannah said. You were parasites. You fed on the intelligence and creativity of other species, but you never created anything yourselves. You only destroyed. She walked deeper into the hall, looking at the ancient trophies. So many species, so many worlds gone silent forever, but not all of them. Species you thought you had hunted to extinction survived, she continued. Adapted. They evolved. They learned. While you stayed exactly the same, doing the same things the same way for millions of years, you became weak because you never had to grow. The apex finally turned to face her. Its armor was cracked and burned. His weapons were broken. For the first time since she had known him, he looked like what he really was, an old creature whose time had passed. "What will your people do to us now?" he asked. "That depends on you." Admiral Park entered the hall, followed by a squad of human Marines and representatives from the allied species. The sight of all the extinct species skulls made them pause in shock and anger. "Dr. Kim," Admiral Park said, "are you all right?" "I am fine, Admiral. Better than fine. I have been studying the Vorthok for months. I think I understand what needs to happen now." She gestured to the skulls around them. "Okay? These represent over 1,000 intelligent species. Okay? Entire civilizations destroyed for entertainment. But some of them left genetic samples. Some of them can be brought back." Captain Taman of the Keth stepped forward. "Our genetic reconstruction technology could restore many of these species, give them new worlds to rebuild their civilizations." The Nith collective consciousness spoke through their representative. "We remember fragments of their knowledge, their art, their music, their stories. We preserved what we could in our shared memory. Even the Kel energy beings offered help. We can locate their original homeworlds, begin the process of ecological restoration." Hannah looked at the apex. "Your people have a choice. Continue to resist and face complete extinction, or help us undo the damage you have done. Spend the rest of your existence bringing back the species you destroyed." "You would trust us to do this?" the apex asked. "No," Admiral Park said firmly. "We would force you to do this. Every surviving Vorthok will work to restore the species they helped destroy. It is the only way your people avoid complete extinction." The apex was silent for a long moment. Around the hall, his subordinates waited for his decision. Outside, the coalition forces had taken control of the entire planet. "We accept," he said finally. "We will work to undo what we have done." "Good," Hannah said, "because I will be watching to make sure you do." 5 years later, Dr. Hannah Kim stood in her office aboard the Galactic Restoration Station, orbiting the former Vorthok homeworld. Through her window, she could see ships from dozens of species coming and going. Many of them carried genetic samples and cultural artifacts back to restored homeworlds. The galaxy was healing. Her assistant, a young Keth engineer named Yunho, brought her the daily reports. 17 more species have been successfully restored this month, he said. Have established their first colony on New Malthois. The Orcs have begun rebuilding their crystal cities, and the Vorthok work crews have completed restoration of the Kaberi homeworld. Hannah nodded. What about the Vorthok themselves? They adapting, the younger generation especially. Many of them seem to find purpose in restoration work, are learning that creation can be as challenging as destruction. She looked down at the planet below, where once there had been hunting preserves. Now there were research stations and cultural centers. The great trophy halls had been converted into museums dedicated to the species that had been lost. The apex, now old and frail, worked in the genetic laboratories. He had become an expert in Vorthok hunting records, helping to identify which species could be restored and where their original homeworlds were located. He would spend the rest of his life trying to fix what he had broken. Dr. Kim Yunho said quietly, "Okay, there is something else. We received a message from Earth. They want to know if you are ready to come home." Hannah smiled. "Earth is not my home anymore. This is my home. This work is my life now." She walked to the memorial wall in her office. It listed the names of every species that had been hunted to extinction by the Vorthok. Some had been restored. Others were lost forever. But all were remembered. The galaxy learned something important, she said. Predators who hunt for sport always eventually face prey that hunts for survival. And survival is always stronger than sport. Outside her window, a ship carrying Malthic colonists passed by. heading for their restored homeworld. The species that had been extinct for 1,000 years was alive again, ready to rebuild their civilization. The hunt was over. The healing had begun, and in the depths of space, new species were evolving, growing, and learning. They would never have to fear being hunted for sport, because the galaxy now knew that some prey fights back, and when humanity fights back, extinction comes not for the prey, but for the predators. The Vorthok had learned this lesson too late, but they had learned it completely. The age of hunting intelligent species was over forever. The age of protecting them had begun.